so much.
There always has to be some drama with technology, right? Okay, thank you for waving. I appreciate it. So, if you receive and actually read the bulletin that our office goddess emails out every week, you may have noticed that she always begins with, "This month's theme is." And as you can see up here, this is the email that comes out. And each month has a theme, and these themes are selected by some committee up in the CSL corporate office. I don't know who does that, but it doesn't really matter. They do it, and they do a good job. And each theme has, the month has a theme, and within the month, each week has a sort of sub-theme or related theme that the speaker can choose to use as his or her topic. You don't have to do it, but you can. So, since I couldn't think of how to build a CSL talk around cats, I'm still working on it. Stay tuned. I decided to go with this week's topic, which is leading from the heart. So, first I'd like to talk about the concept spiritually motivated moral leadership. The word moral is one of those words that can bring up some pretty strong reactions in people. For some, it evokes images of the self-righteous Bible-wielding hypocrite. Somewhat like the church lady in Saturday Night Live. She'd say things kind of smugly like, "Isn't that special?" And then she'd be interviewing somebody and they'd talk about something and she'd go, "Or could it be Satan?" That's kind of self-righteous, a little bit, but she was funny. But there are others who see morality as, it kind of helps us to gauge whether or not we're on the right path, right? Self-reflecting on questions like, is this decision going to have a positive effect on me and others? So these days, when I think of morality and ethics, I think of the TV show, The Good Place. How many of you watch The Good Place? Okay. So for those of you who don't watch this show, it's on Netflix. So it's a comedy where the main character, Eleanor, who's up here, the blonde, she dies and she wakes up in this idealistic, perfect world where she is told that she is in the good place. She's paired with this gentleman, Chidi. They're told that they're soulmates, and he was a philosophy professor in his life. Well, Eleanor kind of realizes that Eleanor was not a really good person in her life, so she realizes that she really doesn't belong in the good place. So she confides in Chidi, and he agrees to give her lessons in ethics and morality. So the first and second seasons discuss the different schools of ethics and the consequences of our behaviors and decisions, which is woven into a really clever and funny dialogue between the characters. So if you want to watch a TV show where you learn about different philosophies of ethics or get reminded of, this is a really good show to do that. Okay, so let's look at the definition of the word moral. Okay, the one I came up with first, of course, is concerned with the principles of right and wrong behavior and the goodness or badness of human character. I didn't really like that one. There's dichotomies, good and bad. What was the other one? goodness or bad, right and wrong. And you know, I know we live in a reality where we have to have dichotomies. You know, it's just the way it is, black and white, good and bad. But I thought, well, let me go someplace else and look for another definition. So, moral philosophy says that moral philosophy examines how people should live their lives in relation to others. See, I like that a little bit better. It's not so church-lady-ish. Another person that I've studied a lot of his works is Ken Wilber. Now, Ken is like I know him. Mr. Wilber is a scholar and author who writes on transpersonal psychology and philosophy, and he developed his own theory of human development called integral theory. And the chart up there, that's his theory of human development. Now, it's really pretty complicated, but it is a good start, and he took his ideas from a lot of people like Sri Aurobindo, and then a lot of people take his ideas, Mr. Wilber's ideas, and have built their own theories of human development. So anyway, Wilber says that morality begins with a recognition that each and every being is an expression of spirit. And that very recognition brings us to consider, how shall we treat others who are also expressions of spirit? This moral interest begins there and extends to other beings, to cultures, and to the systems that we live in. Far beyond religious dogma and prior to mental reasoning, this moral inclination lies deep within us all. Now, I like that. Thank you, Mr. Wilber. So hopefully we can now let go of the negative judgmental association with the word moral. Let's kind of put that aside, and we can pick it up later when we leave, if you like. So how do we define moral leadership? For one thing, moral leaders aim to serve instead of aspiring to being followed. They're the types of leaders that inspire others. They make you feel good to be around them. They tend to bring out your talents and capacities, and then they don't take the credit. So I was thinking about who some of the moral leaders are that kind of come out that we always kind of point to. And the first one I thought of was this man, Nelson Mandela, or Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi. How about Marie Curie? Marie Curie was the first woman to ever win a Nobel Prize, the first female professor at the University of Paris, and the first person to ever win a second Nobel Prize. Her work in radiation actually was the cause of her death, so she was a very dedicated, leading from the heart type of person, I believe. So others that you can think of, people might think of Eleanor Roosevelt, Barack Obama. Dennis would say Amelia Earhart. I'm sure we can all come up with people that just pop up who are moral leaders.
Robert Kennedy.
Yeah. So on that vein, I want you to think for a moment. Think of a person in your life, someone you knew personally who was a leader to you that led from the heart. Think about how that person made you feel. Did they inspire you? Motivate you? Are you a better person today because they were in your life? I remember a teacher I had in the 5th and 6th grade. His name was Mr. McClanahan. And he was the first teacher to make me feel like I was actually smart and that I had something to offer. I don't really know how he did it. He was kind of serious and not exactly charismatic, but I really enjoyed learning under his leadership. And I was privileged to have him for 2 years. He taught 5th and then went on to 6th. Now, think of a leader who did not make you feel good. Perhaps someone who you felt attracted to at first, but then you began to lose that connection. Maybe you started to question their integrity, or you perhaps realized that they were not what you thought they were in the beginning. Y'all have someone like that that you thought of in your life? Was that person leading from the heart or from their ego? Have you ever had a friend who's found a new guru, someone that they keep telling you that you must hear them speak or meet them? Then you meet them and there's no connection at all, or maybe you're kind of repulsed by them. And you wonder, what does my friend see in this person? I hope they wake up to this person. So maybe that person is not leading from the heart either and leading from their ego. So when we motivate ourselves spiritually to be in service as leaders that are committed to serving from the heart, we find a purer expression of morality. A morality that simply means to be in alignment with the principles or spiritual laws. Hugh Boneville, oh wait a minute, sorry, Ernest Holmes, doesn't he look kind of like this Robert Crowley from Downton Abbey, like an older version of him? Anyway, dear Mr. Holmes said, "Love leads the way, and the law makes the way possible." When we lead from the heart, we are in alignment with our divinity, and we lead the way in service to the One by being in service to humanity. From this clearer expression of morality, we are able to build trust, and people will follow the moral compass of the leader rather than the leader herself. I recently listened to the words from a song by the Canadian group Rush. Dennis and I actually performed this song here a few weeks ago. It's called Closer to the Heart. And the lyrics are, "And the men who hold high places must be the ones who start to mold a new reality closer to the heart. The blacksmith and the artist, reflected in their art, they forge their creativity closer to the heart. Philosophers and plowmen, each must know his part to sow a new mentality closer to the heart. So you could be the captain, and I will draw the chart, sailing into destiny closer to the heart." Excuse me. Sounds to me like they're talking about a change in our society, or moving into a new paradigm, perhaps, where we approach life from a more centered perspective. Leading from the heart. Can rock musicians lead from the heart? I think they can too. To lead from the heart, one must also possess, among others, the qualities of compassion, wisdom, humility, and desire. They need to be able to listen and to guide gently. We can all be leaders that lead from the heart, every one of us here in this room. And I believe we all need to try. In an article entitled Planetary Whole System Design Science, A Contribution to the World Shift 2012 by Dr. Jose Arguelles, and he writes for the Noosphere Forum. He's discussing planetary culture and sacred order, and he states that it must be borne in mind that it is the human species alone that is responsible for the rape and pillage of the environment, as well as perpetrating violence of every kind against itself. In other words, the human species is engendering an immense corruption of the earth, as well as its own soul. What is the core malaise or cause of this unfortunate condition? Looking at the matter more deeply, We cannot escape the conviction that there is an underlying moral or even theological issue so intense that it may seem well nigh impossible to reach the gulf between the human moral disorder and correcting its course in time to ward off certain catastrophe. Yes, the root cause of the global crisis is a moral disconnect of the human psyche from the human soul. Where once the world was bound in a vision of sacred order, it now tumbles in an ever more profane chaos. Okay, so that's one way to look at the state of the world today. And I think there's some truth in the statement that a lot of us in the world today are experiencing a moral, spiritual disconnect. However, I believe that we can heal our moral, spiritual disconnect and rise from the chaos that Mr. Arguelles spoke of. Reverend Kathy spoke last week of the importance of recognizing, acknowledging, and accepting our shadow issues. Spending time in nature, spending time with our animal companions, and doing ritual. Keeping a finger on the pulse of our moral compass, and by staying as authentic and focused on the good that is inherent in everything and everyone. These are all ways that reconnect with our moral, spiritual aspect. And we will then naturally lead from the heart. Thank you.